Okay. The following is the 666th Arizona Racing Commission meeting taking place at 1110 West Washington, Suite 250, Phoenix, Arizona, 85007 on Thursday, January 10th, 2019.
I'd like to call to order the 666th regular Arizona Racing Commission meeting, January 10th, 2019. And I think Commissioner Gorey would like to...
Well, we need to do roll call.
Let's do that.
Thank you. Good morning. Commissioner Garay?
Here.
Commissioner Lawless?
Here.
Commissioner McClintock?
Here.
Thank you. We have a quorum. And as a public service announcement, please silence or turn all cell phones off. If you must take a call, please be courteous to those around you and take the conversation out into the hall. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I do have a couple of questions I'd like to get on the record before we move forward. Obviously, we're down a commissioner, so there's only 3. So I just wanted verification. What is a quorum? I know there was some thoughts that it might just be 2, and I just want to make sure that if 2 of us are together, that it's not we're not creating a quorum, that it is 3. So
You're asking a legal question?
yes. Is it legally 3?
It's 3.
Okay. And then for any items that we vote on, what is the requirement to pass that? 2 votes or 3?
The majority of the quorum, so it would be 2 votes.
Okay, thank you. I'd also like to, for today's agenda, I think item B, executive session, we need to move to a little later, and I would also like to move item C1 to the end of the meeting.
Okay. So we'll start with action item C2, the OTB agreement between TP Racing LLLP and Arizona Downs.
This has to do with the signals being broadcast into Arizona Downs as well as Turf Paradise. We did this similarly last year with Riedo, if you remember back in February, to have Riedo have Turf Paradise signal as well. So this is an agreement between the 2 committees that have agreed at this point in time that while Turf Paradise is racing live, technically Arizona Downs for the Turf Paradise signal only will be an OTB, so they'll be able to broadcast it at their facilities and their OTB network.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve that agreement?
I move that we approve the OTD agreement between TP Racing, LLLP, and AZ Downs.
Second.
Okay, Cassie?
Thank you, Commissioner Garay.
Yes.
Commissioner Lawless?
Yes.
Commissioner McClintock?
Yes.
Okay, the motion carries. The OTB agreement between TP Racing LLLP and Arizona Downs has been approved.
Action item C3, OTB agreement between Arizona Downs and TP Racing LLLP.
What this will essentially do is when Arizona Downs runs live, the signal will be broadcast to Turf Paradise as well as the OTB networks that Turf Paradise controls.
Turf Paradise will become an OTB of Arizona.
That's correct.
I move we approve.
Second.
May I be heard on that one?
Sure.
And I thought maybe perhaps Horsemen were going to speak also. But the one issue that we have with that we wanted to address with the commission is that there's a clause in the contract that allows Turf Paradise to terminate that agreement with 15 days notice. I argued against it and took it out of the proposal. Turf Paradise insisted, Jerry Sims in particular, insisted that it be in there. I just want to put the commission on notice that it would be unbelievably unfair and bad faith if we take their signal and our OTBs during this period when they're running, and then when we start to run, they terminate the contract. So it was a concession on our part because the Horsemen asked us to do what we could to make this deal, and you folks have asked us to do what we could to make this deal. That clause is in there. It was the only way we could get to the finish line. So anyway, we just want to let you know if that should occur.
I'm sorry. Please state your name for the record. We failed to do that. Thank you.
Just good old Dave Author with Arizona Downs.
Thank you.
Thanks, David. Kevin?
Hi, I'm Kevin Eckway, owner, trainer, and breeder. And I'm really speaking mostly on behalf of, I am part of the board of the HPVA. We are very concerned about this. We think it would be also very unfair. We really don't think it's a good idea for them to sign this contract the way it is. I can't understand why Turf Paradise would even want this in this contract. They'll probably say it's in all of them, but Horseman's got no protection this way at all. And what this will really do is help us on both ends. Help our purses one way and help our purses the other way. We really want to see this happen, but that clause in there is very scary to the Horsemen's Association. So,
Is there any language in it as to what could cause the termination, or is it just
I think
at will?
Just at will for 2 weeks or 15 days, and that's not a very good idea on my part. So maybe Turf would like to say why it's in there.
Give them the opportunity.
Terry Sims for Turf Paradise. We have this in every one of our agreements. Every one of them with the dog tracks. I had a long discussion with Dave Arthur this last week about it and explained to him, so it should be no mystery, why it's in there. And I don't want to bring up things that probably don't need to be brought up today, but I explained them to him, and he understands very clearly why it has to be in there. The Horsemen don't understand because I haven't explained it to them. That's the first time I heard that they had any issue with it. But I'll be happy to explain it to them. But we have it in all of our agreements. Anything we have, it's in there.
Would you consider taking it out of this particular agreement? Because I could see the Horsemen's reticence to go up there and then be stuck up there with us.
First of all, I'll make an absolute commitment that that won't happen. We will not, just because of that. But you have to remember, they have told you publicly that if we go for an OTB, which we are in Tucson, that Dave Arthur and his brothers have told you they're going to go down and petition against us to get an OTB in Tucson to the city council. If they did that, I couldn't do business with them. They can't have us do business with them and go down in front of the city council and say Turf Paradise is bad, don't approve any of their OTBs. But you might remember they were going to go in conjunction with Riolito if we open OTBs in Tucson. And I can't have somebody go down and expect to do that and then want the benefits of contracts with us. So it's done. We will not go to, we will go and honor the agreement if things like that don't happen. We're not going to just make the Horsemen feel very comfortable. That's not going to happen. We're not going to just say, gee, it's our turn to be the OTB for you, and we're not going to do it. That's not going to happen. I will commit to you. They'd have to do something like I described to upset the relationship to the extent that we wouldn't want to have any business dealings with them. But if they would go down and do that in front of public bodies and talk about Turf Paradise and say we don't want any OTVs down here from Turf Paradise, that would be tough to continue doing business with. But otherwise, 100% we will be having the signal from there. We've also told them, and I know that people in the HPPA, they should look at their times. It's later in the afternoon, and the sun is brighter. They can adjust their times on a Saturday. If they're going to come out and expect us to take off on a Saturday, we're going to show them in the track. But at the OTBs, they have to start and work with us as to what time of day they're going to start their meet. If they expect us to take off Santa Anita or Del Mar or Saratoga in the middle of the afternoon on a Saturday, we can't do it. We have 6 signals. At the track, we can take them for sure. We'll take them for sure in the OTBs if they'll adjust their times so that we can work together on that. So we are definitely taking their signal. It's not any issue. I hope that addresses it. Any questions?
Well, my question would be for the horsemen, would they feel more comfortable if they got to spend the time with you to hear what this is about so that they could address any concerns that they had?
I'd be happy to talk to them, but I mean, it isn't any more complicated than that. If they'll work with us on times, and if they won't go down and say bad things about us in a public forum to try to get us not to get OTBs approved, we would never do something like that. We're working with them. With all that's happened, we're still working with them. We want them to be successful. We want them, I want them to be successful. I don't know these gentlemen, but my horsemen want to go there. And I want horsemen coming back feeling financially more sound. I don't want them coming back because they've had to ship across the country in the summertime, and if they don't do well, come back without a lot of money. If they want to go up to there, I'd like to see it happen. So, yes, I'd be happy to, Commissioner. I'd be happy to listen if they have more concerns. But it is as simple as that.
Right. Is this an item that has to be resolved today? I mean, obviously, you probably want to start to carry the signals.
I'll resolve it for you right now if you like. Tom Author, Arizona Downs. We will not go down to Tucson and protest any opening of OTBs down there. I would probably expect Rito to maybe do that, but that's between Rito and Turf Paradise. We will not be down in front of any public body in Tucson protesting any OTB. We'll be down to try to get our own, and I wouldn't be surprised, and I'd be surprised if Rito didn't show up and say, we don't want these guys to open down here because they're not giving us any money. But that's between Rito and Turf Paradise. Thank you.
Well, and I do appreciate that from the two of you. We got two gentlemen's agreement here before the commission, but I would also like to hear from the horsemen if they're okay with this.
Leroy Gussman, Arizona HVPA Commissioners. We don't like it. In fact, we had a kind of a phone conversation amongst board members last Saturday, and I called Ann and asked her, I told her that as much as we wanted to get the signals out, that we did not expect them to sign this agreement with that clause in there. Anyway, the goal of the HPPA and the horsemen is that all three tracks show the other tracks when they're run, and that all three tracks reciprocate. And we're just afraid that this looks like, the horsemen are afraid that this looks like Arizona Downs will carry Turf Paradise signal till the end of Turf Paradise, and then at any time after May 29th, Jerry can use the 15-day clause and they don't have to carry him. And Arizona Downs needs the OTB system money in the summertime, just like the Yavapai used to need it. And if they don't get that signal out from the Arizona residents at the OTBs around the state, it's going to be more of a financial burden on them than this Monarch issue is. And anyway, the horsemen preferred that wasn't in there. And the horsemen preferred that all three tracks show each other signals when they're running. Any questions?
No, but I think you should sit down with Turf Paradise, let them explain what Jerry just alluded to about why it's in every contract. And maybe you'll feel differently, maybe not, but give it a shot.
We can do that.
Thank you. Thanks, Leo. Let's move on to information reports.
Excuse me, we have a second, but we do not have a vote on the matter.
And that was also a question I had. Is this an item we have to address today, or can it be addressed at the next meeting when maybe the horsemen are more comfortable?
No, we need to address it right now. We want to start the signal right away. And with the assurance from Mr. Sims that the one example he could think of The one example that he could think of was if we went down and tried to scuttle his OTBs in Tucson, and we said we're not going to do that. My guess is he'll come up with other reasons that we can't even imagine between now and then. But we need to do this now and keep our fingers crossed and go with it.
So you'd like the commission to approve?
Yeah,
right?
I'd like you to approve it at this time. Although honestly, it's a May. With respect to our meet, it won't start till this summer, and we could kick it around even longer. But I don't think I'm going to learn any more about what his turf's position is. If the horseman would like to deal with it, we're going to carry the turf signal. We're going to carry turf signal based upon your first vote. Whether they carry our signal based upon the second vote doesn't have to be resolved. We might as well resolve it now. Imagine Ann and the troops would rather get that behind us.
Sir.
Can I speak for a minute?
Sure.
Please clearly state your
I'm
name.
Tim Kelly
Thank
with
you.
the Pima County Fair Horse Racing Commission in Tucson. This is Ron Reyna, who is our chair on the Pima County Fair Horse Racing Commission. And we come here today to, and this kind of enters into what everybody has just been saying, but we came to deliver a memorandum from Chuck Huckleberry, who is our county administrator for the Pima County Board of Supervisors in Tucson. And Chuck sent out a memorandum on January 7th, which I believe you all have received, but I have copies to give to whoever is interested in looking at it. And Chuck sent a reply to the Arizona Department of Gaming inadvertently. He was directed to send it to the Arizona Racing Commission. And essentially what he is saying is he's taking the position from his memorandum that under no circumstances will he allow any simulcast parlors to come into Pima County without the approval of the Pima County Board of Supervisors. And any contracts that are currently in existence, which Turf Paradise has with the dog track, that when those contracts expire, that he will require a new licensing. And without Rito participating in any simulcast money, Pima County doesn't want any parlors coming into Tucson where Rito can't participate and get revenue. And I just wanted to mention with what's going on today with the comments regarding the upcoming new parlors, that is the position of the county, and I'm sure it's going to be the position with the city of Tucson. We will clarify that at the next meeting, but we're just dealing with Pima County at this meeting.
Good. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yes.
Okay, do we have a motion?
We did, and a second.
Commissioner Garay?
I'm going to vote yes and encourage both parties. You've got a gentleman agreement here, and I expect you guys to uphold those gentlemen agreements.
Commissioner Lawless?
Yes.
Commissioner McClintock?
Yes.
Okay, the OTB agreement between Arizona Downs and TP Racing LLP has been approved.
Now we're going to go to item B, the information reports. Greg, you want to give us the safety report, please?
Right, this month's safety report starts out with the main drainage gates, which one of them is at the training track. That is reported, we've observed that is operating efficiently at this point in time. The water is flowing into that grates. We had a recent rain spill recently. Everything looks fine as far as the major draining gates. We are starting to see some mud and what I would call soup issues in the pathways between barns B and C and D, as well as the K row. Turf Paradise owns a street sweeper, and there needs to be additional operation of that sweeper on a scheduled basis to remove that debris. On any given day, you can see mud and other debris on the streets. Potholes, again with the rain, we're starting to see more of those, and we're starting to see a little excessive potholes. We'll need to have those repaired. And all of this, Turf Paradise has been alerted to. It's going to see it may come up and talk about this. Last month, I mentioned about the vegetation, the weeds out there. We've gone through, we've spotted some areas that need to be addressed. And again, we are told that the horsemen, trainers, they're responsible for their own barn areas. Most of them do very well. They'll keep their barn area pretty clean. There are, however, some spots, and I show you a picture. This is on the in between the K and L row. There's a couple barns there that need to have some additional, I would say, nudging by these trainers, and or if they don't do that, then there needs to be vegetation cut down and removed. This all gets to when the warmer weather comes out, these weeds will dry out and they'll become a nuisance. Again, we discussed the Turf Paradise management as well as the HPPA, and recently this week they said they'd be working on it. We had leaks. Again, with the wet weather, we went around and we assessed some of the barns to leaks. These are ones that may have repairs to the barn roofs. In particular one, I think this is barn D6, where we went through. There were again leaks in the shed row as well as some of the stalls. We noticed guttering that was on the ground. We talked to the licensees, and they said that there was a repair on the roof that was made. There was people on the roof, but the leaks have returned. So we'll encourage Turf Paradise to go back there and take a look at these barns to make sure that they're not leaking and some of the guttering is reassembled and replaced. Backside lighting, we continue to go through on a daily basis, sometimes in the morning or night. No significant lighting issues. When there's a light bulb or something that goes out, we alert them, and they're very quick to replace those. We did a visual inspection on the backside, noticed some electrical outlets. They'll either be at the barns or maybe tied to a post. You'll see some pictures there. We noticed that some didn't have their covers on. We feel this is a safety hazard, and we've asked Turf Paradise to go through and take a look at these and replace these covers, these safety covers. A lot of this is routine maintenance and things of that nature. Last month, you guys asked me on a specific incident on a fire that was in Barn J. I've attached the Phoenix Police report to that. We received the Phoenix Police report. We spoke with the Phoenix Fire Department. They both did a tremendous job as putting out the fire quickly. The Phoenix Fire Department wanted to thank the licensees that were there because they said they did a tremendous job at getting the horses out. A couple things that you'll see in the fire report. They have classified the fire as undeterminable as far as the cause of it. They do note that there was some items that were in the room that were caught on fire. One specifically was a power strip as well as a jerry-rigged lighting to where somebody had taken the light and replaced it with one of those light bulbs with the attachment that you can plug something into it. But they determined the fire at this point in time, the origin was undeterminable at this. But you've got the fire report. They do note a couple things on there that the fire was quickly extinguished, as well as that they do note that there were fire extinguishers that were reused by some of those licensees in an attempt to put out the fire. So with that, that's a safe report again.
Thanks, Greg.
I do have some questions and concerns. As you know, I was out at the track on Saturday and knew that we had a fire. And I know things happen, but safety has to be the utmost concern of everyone involved. And I got to admit, I was really disappointed when I got out there and saw that a month later there was fire extinguishers missing. There's fire extinguishers that maintenance was 2016, 2017. The water pressure gauge for the pipe that goes in for the sprinkler system in the rooms that are the gray door rooms. I found one that had been spray painted over. You can't even tell if it's working. Another gauge completely not working, and those photos are in the photos I did turn over. And to me, that is just pure laziness, and that tells me we're not addressing and we're not making security or safety our top issue. I mean, heck, I observed the security guard with a gun, which on him there, which I'm sure is for safety and security. And it's like, why can't we put as much attention into this as we do other things? I think we need to get to a point on this simple little thing that there is somebody going around checking these things and signing that they did it. There needs to be some accountability. We can't have this type of crap going on anymore.
Item 2, budget report, Director Seeds.
At this time, our budget is in good shape. No areas of concern.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to number 3, the committee reports. American Greyhound Racing.
Good morning. No update.
Thanks. Arizona Downs.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. My name is Ann McGovern. I am the General Manager at Arizona Downs. You should have a handout in front of you that will show you a few photos of the items I'm going to talk about today. I get to be bearer of good news. There is a little bit of bad news at Arizona Downs, but I get to tell you about the good news. And that is we are ahead of schedule on all of our remodel and renovation items. If you ask me what words I would use to describe how I feel what I see when I drive into Arizona Downs today versus what I saw a year ago, I would say clean, updated, and clean and updated would probably be the 2 words. And that comes from the complete painting and repair of all of the stucco on the outside of the building. Every piece of that stucco has been touched by somebody, either repairing it, painting it, cleaning it. In addition, this is very subtle, but the profile of the roof line used to have arches on it, and we removed those, which gives the building a more modern feel. And I think it's, again, very subtle, but you notice that when you walk on the grounds. Brand new landscaped flower beds. Our entrances, when you walk into the building, we remodeled and removed the program booths that were there before so that we can take advantage of the light coming from the apron side of the building through the entrance and made them much more user-friendly. Unfortunately, the roof had been leaking for over 6 years, so one of the first things we did was completely replace the roof. Not only does it now keep water out, it is a reflective barrier that helps reduce the heat load that's on the building. That helps our new air conditioning units. Every single one of the air conditioning units has been replaced, and many of them that have been replaced with larger load models as well. And I know Phoenix gets a little toasty. Prescott Valley does a little bit in the summer too. Not quite as bad, but we do need those air conditioning units. The leaky roof also caused quite a bit of damage to all of the walls in the building. So if a wall was not repaired, most walls have to be repaired and replaced, cleaned, degreased, painted. There's not a wall in the building that hasn't been repainted, and there's not a flooring that can be replaced that hasn't been replaced. All of the carpet is new. All of the laminate has been removed. New tile. There isn't a surface that hasn't been updated and refreshed in the building. In addition to try and continue that look of modernization and clean lines and simplification, all of the old mutual lines that used to have the big box units in front of them that tellers used to keep their money, all of that's been reduced or taken out, and we now have clean granite countertops or new laminate countertops. And the new Sportech system that we have leased from Sportech are their newest, best models, very streamlined and multifunctional. Most of the teller units can be flipped so that they can be self-serve units, and all of the standalone self-serve units can take cash as well as tickets. I think you've seen or heard about our simulcast room already, so I won't spend too much time on that, but there are some photos there for you. Probably the most exciting part of this for me and what I enjoy the most is renovating a track surface. So we started months ago pulling soil samples, taking survey readings of the base, and in the last week and a half, we've had whom I consider the premier track expert in the country, somewhat arguably the world, but he would kill me if I said that, so I'll just say we have to do it now. Dennis Moore, he's been on the track, renovating the facility, going through, setting grades with a surveyor, Dean Johnson Surveying, and moving material and determining what our next step is. And he is here in the audience if anyone has any questions for Dennis. He doesn't like attention, but he is, I feel very fortunate that we've been able to enlist his services. As I said, the best, and I think the horsemen would agree. Anybody have any questions for me?
Do you guys, it's been a long time since I've been up there. Do you guys also have a training track like Turf does, or will the main track will also be the training track? And how are the barns?
The barns, they're also under renovation. We are, I would say, halfway through the electrical upgrades. We're going to have to increase the capacity there at least by 2 or 3 times in order to, one, make it safe, avoid the use of extension cords and those fire hazards that you guys are aware of. It is a very difficult thing to do in a stable area.
For you guys, since you'll be opening, what is going to be required to get the track open? Will they have to go through an inspection from a fire marshal, or is it completely the department inspection?
It'll be a department inspection as far as the track and location. With Dennis Moore, and we'll go up there and take a look at it as far as the rail and things of that nature. And we typically do that with each location. We'll be doing that with Rito this month, as the record out in February. We'll do the same thing for Sunday.
Well, my question then would be, with regards to fire extinguishers and that type of thing, is there somebody who knows what they're doing that will be looking at that?
I can address that. We worked very closely with the fire marshal in Prescott Valley, and he is on property every step of the way. We'll also have an internal checking system. I mean, there are rules that require us to monitor the fire extinguishers and to monitor fire hazards, and our security department will be responsible for checking the reissue dates on all of the extinguishers and making sure that the use of extension cords is within what fire marshal protocol allows.
Okay. And those records would be
in our offices.
In the offices, and then turned into the department on a regular basis.
Anytime it's asked for.
Okay.
Happy to do that.
And my congratulations to you and your team. These before and after pictures are amazing.
Yeah,
we have a really great crew working with us, and I'm very proud of what they've been able to do. And I would like to invite you guys to have your next commission meeting at Arizona Downs, or any time in the near future that it would fit in your schedules. I'd be happy to give you a personal tour.
Sounds good to me.
Any questions?
Get everybody up
Yeah,
there.
Thank you.
Now,
We have some other comments that may not be quite as positive.
Mr. Negative.
While you're in a good mood, let me reintroduce.
Rumor has it that we're only 1 minute into our presentation, so I've got several more minutes later. And I ask your indulgence to allow me to exceed our previously scheduled 3 minutes.
Identify yourself, please.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm sorry, Cassie. David Author, Arizona Downs. I'll take up some of the time for the county fairs.
There you go. Jockey's good.
I heard the jockey's good. In the last, honestly, the good cop, bad cop, I think the only bad thing Anna's ever done is TP her roommate in high school or something. But so the bad side will be, we are desperately in need of decision-making from the commission or the division or the Attorney General's office or our new chief at the gaming. of our application to amend the regulations with respect to this Monarch issue. As recently as yesterday, Ann spoke with the Monarch fellow in charge. And just so you understand, we are not going to get the Monarch signal absent some action beyond what we can do ourselves. We are not going to get the Monarch signal. He made it very clear.
Even when you run live?
Even when we run live. We specifically asked it, and Commissioner Lawless has said, why don't you see whether or not they'll allow you to have the signal if you offer to have Corey Johnson resign? We offered that. They said no. Yesterday, we said, what about when we run live? Will you at least give us the signal then? And he said, no. We'll change your rate at the track up there, but you should not, literally he said, you should not budget for your future to include the Monarch signal for any of your outside OTBs. So, I mean, I can't emphasize enough how devastating that is for our business plan and anybody's business plan, where live racing does not generate enough money to have a decent meet and have decent purses for the horsemen. So the only way you can generate sufficient funds to have a decent meet and decent purses is to run an OTB system 365 days a year. Monarch signal is at least 50% or more, depending upon the month, at our OTB up in Prescott Valley. But it's way worse than that, because somebody who may have just discovered that we have an OTB on wherever they are will walk in and say, we're ready to bet on Santa Anita, and we say that we don't have that signal. And they leave, and they don't come back, and they don't just hang around and bet on some other track. They hit the road and go somewhere else. I just want you to understand it's intolerable and unacceptable that we can run a track when the majority of the signals we're not going to get. And so for the last 3 months, we've spent asking, what can we do to get some movement out of the commission? What can we do to get some movement out of the racing division? And you said, well, give us I don't know, give us a rule. We gave you a rule, and it's a rule that says all signal providers must provide them to all permittees. It's very simple. Well, then David Heupel said, does anybody else do that? And we said, we'll check. And we found 5 states that do it. The 5 states that probably have run into this problem before all have the same rule. If you provide the signal to one permittee, you have to provide to all of them. And then you said, well, what about, shouldn't it just be the legislature? Isn't that the way it works? And Sims' lawyer came out and says, oh no, it's only legislation that allows it. And the fact that, and that is incorrect. Mississippi did it by regulation, just as you can do it. And then the next question is, well, it'll take too long, or what about the rules? And we showed you that the rules provide an exemption from the Arizona Administrative Procedures Act for regulations involving horse racing. And we showed you that that's where all the other regulations that have ever been passed for horse racing have been passed pursuant to that exemption to the Administrative Procedures Act. And month after month, we've asked to put this on the agenda, and it's never been on there. And yesterday or the day before, we looked at the agenda, and it's still not on there. And I honestly cannot get a direct answer as to why the heck it's not on there. And you either vote it up, you vote it down, you tell us you want us to postpone it. We just need to know. Because our next step, because I mean literally, we can't surrender if you don't pass it. We got to keep going. We got to run a track. Ann's got to have a job. So the horsemen want to run. The horsemen who have said, we love you, we got to run. So we need to exhaust our administrative remedies, I guess would be the word, and Councilor Lawless may understand what that is, before we take the next step. Whether it's at the legislature, whether it's in the courts, whether it's with the governor, whether it's with Donald Trump, I don't know what it's going to be, but we're going to have to do something because we're not going to go away. And this is not the Turf Paradise Racing Commission. This is not the Turf Paradise Racing Division. This is all of us. And when the Monarch representative tells us, we don't care if you have Corey Johnson, we don't care if you run. We do not believe, we, Monarch, some Canadian company, that it's good for Arizona racing to have more than one OTB system, so we're going to not allow a second OTB system. They're telling you guys what your job is. And it's intolerable. So we want you to pass the regulation. We want to get it on the darn agenda if that's what it takes. I just soon have somebody make a motion to pass our regulation, and then we'll do it now. I don't know if you can. It's all these. We have an AG here who probably can figure out what needs to happen. We don't know what the opinion of the AGs is as to what we want to do. We don't get to go to these executive sessions, but we need it. I implore you, we need an answer. Don't know that I could say it any better than that. We're not. Yeah. Listen to. We're not going to get the signal unless you folks do something.
Well,
that's abundantly clear.
That's the first time I've heard that. I was under the impression that you were going to get the signal when you ran live.
We specifically asked them, and yesterday or the day before, and she can verify that. I mean, we were ready to roll over on this whole concept and say, okay. We'll go away from the regulations and the statutes and everything. Will you at least tell us you're going to let us have the signal when we run? It'll trash our meet. We know that if we don't get any money till May. We'll have to come up with $1 jillion out of our pocket. Presumably the horsemen will pay us back someday. But if you at least tell us you can give it to us when we run, maybe we can work this out. No, we're not going to do that. We don't think there should be another OTB system in Arizona. Some guy in Toronto is telling you guys how to run your business. They're telling you how to run your business. It's intolerable. And it's got to be a tort of some kind. There's got to be some kind of collusion. The AG should be investigating this. Should be talking to the antitrust division. Everybody should be getting together to fix this. And all we get is a bunch of, well, we didn't know, we need to talk about, we're not sure. And month after month after month, we get poorer and poorer as we pay. I mean, Dennis is really an expensive guy. As we keep doing this, and we're going to keep doing it. And we're going to run, and we're going to run a great meet. But I'm telling you, it's more than we should have to bear on our own when there's a group of professionals like you who one of your responsibilities is to support racing in Arizona, and
well,
that's what we asked. Yeah.
Okay, first of all, that's the first time, like I said, that I heard that you weren't going to get the signal when you ran live. Secondly, there's no horse racing in Mississippi, so I don't know what you're referring to when you're...
They have OTB system.
Okay, at the casinos.
I don't know where they have it, but they have a regulation. I mean, we provided you with the statutes. I mean, we gave it to you a month or two ago. I don't know if you...
For me personally, we can't do anything today because it's not an action item. It's not on the agenda as an action item. But I would like to have it put on the next meeting as an action item and give all sides a chance to give us briefs as to why or how we can do it, or why and how we can't do it.
Sure.
I mean, it's been previously, Mr. Chairman, you directed the division to do some research on it and report back. We have not reported. We have not reported back on the matter because we're we're still doing the research.
Okay.
It's been looked at by the Attorney General, and now General Counsel's looking at it. So we should be able to provide some information to you in short order.
If it's on the next agenda, we can get it beforehand.
Yes.
Okay.
Cool.
Well, I mimic Rory on this. I think we should put it on the agenda and give all sides a chance to, including the horsemen who have a lot at stake here, to comment and provide us with whatever materials you feel are relevant.
The horseman wrote you a letter, and it
I
says
saw
we
it.
support it.
I saw it.
What more you need? Feel free to interview them.
Well,
we've been trying to get it on the
agenda. It wasn't on the agenda. I sympathize with you. I don't know why. And I think it is time to get it on the agenda and hear when it's an action item from all parties involved rather than getting letters when it's not an action item. I want to hear from everybody.
Yeah, we right. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Okay, I think
Jerry?
Mr. Sims wants to say something.
Jerry Sims from Paradise. Let me tell you what ramifications of you doing that would happen, or have a reasonably good chance of happening. Monarch that he's referring to is owned by the same fellow that owns Sanity Racetrack and 7 other tracks, Frank Stronach. Stronach will not be pushed around by anybody, and he's not going to set a bad precedent. If we went back and were able to and did pass a rule that said this had to happen, and at the same price, by the way, there's a very high likelihood you're not going to back them down. We received, and I think you received, a phone message that Tom Arthur left for him that was of a threatening nature. And he said when he sent it to me and to Bob Hutton, and then we sent it around, the actual phone message, he said, I don't know if I can do business with somebody that threatens me. This was Scott Tuardi, the president of Monarch. If they dug their heels in and said, we are not going to do it, therefore we're not going to give anybody in Arizona the signal, we're done. Turf Paradise is finished. They were at 42% of our handle. If we lost 10%, we couldn't make it. But 42% of our handle comes from the Monarch tracks. They also sell signal for Del Mar Racetrack, Tampa Bay Downs, Turf Paradise. They sell signal, buy and sell signal for a whole host of tracks. They sell signal around the world. We are a fly on an elephant. If we think Churchill Downs has been in extended lawsuits with Frank Stronach, he doesn't care about getting in world wars with Churchill Downs. Do you think he cares about if he told us we're not going to get the signal? It wouldn't even take 10 seconds of his time to say, well, just don't give it to anybody in Arizona. We're done.
Well, I think right now, no one's done anything. You got to understand, it's just possibly going to be put on an agenda as to, we don't even know if we can do anything. So, I think we need to wait for the department to get back to us with what is out there.
That's fine. I'm just telling you that if you did, there's not a way that I can think of that you would convince Frank Stronach to be leveraged by Turf Paradise and Arizona Downs. He would simply say, don't give them the signal. And it's a private business. I heard antitrust and all. This is a private business. He has the right to buy and sell signal who he wants to. And I wouldn't want to be the one to go to Frank Stronach, who I've spoken to but I've never met, and say, by the way, you're going to have to sell it to us. Churchill Downs, they got in, you remember Gulfstream Park and Calder? They got into a big fight because they both had the rights for casinos. And
Don't need to hear all that, Jerry. We've heard it before. But excuse me for interrupting, but I'd like to say something when you get through. No, James.
Yeah.
Lloyd Yotha with the Arizona HVPA Vice President. I've been a horseman since 1982. Struggled in Arizona, tried to race here, had to take my quarter horse racing out of state because you can't afford to race here. Thoroughbred racing is in the same position as you can't afford to race here. I race here because I love horse racing, I love my horses, and I want to be where I can watch them run, not send them to another state to watch them run. But we need to get together. This is the horsemen. The horsemen are they provide the show on all tracks. I don't care if there's 15 more, if they 5 or 6 more tracks want to open up in Arizona. All the other tracks are going to oppose it, but it's free commerce. It's a business. Like Jerry said, it's a business. We can't force Monarch to give their signal to Arizona Downs, but we might force them to say either get in or get out. And if that means the end of Turf Paradise and racing in Arizona, so be it. I'm tired of it.
Okay, thanks, Lloyd. We're going to wait. We're going to get a report from the department.
And we do want to hear from you next month, Lloyd.
Yeah, I will.
Steve Nolan in the industry since the late 70s. I want to reiterate what Mr. Yoder just said and what Mr. Sims just said. He said this is a private business. This is a regulated business. You are the regulators. You have the striped shirts on. Before you rule on anything and waiting any further, I ask that you go in executive session, check Chapter 7 of the agency handbook, which gives you permission today to take action in special circumstances. Chapter 7 of the agency handbook provided by the state of Arizona. For the last 4 days I've been reading it. You have the right today to take action, blow the whistle, and demand. You don't have to wait, have it as an item for action if there is a clause in the special circumstances of Chapter 7 of the agency handbook. Now, I'm not an attorney, and I hear brilliance right here. Deanie Ray, but please, before this is moved on in another month of hurting the horsemen in this industry of a state, put the striped shirt on, if you have the ability to, make it a fair market America. Either open to all and not monopolize it, or none. All or none. This is America capitalist. This is a free market, and it is a regulated industry. It is not just a private industry. Check Chapter 7. Please go in executive session. I'm not wrong. I urge you to do it before you table it and hurt this industry for another month. Thank you.
Thank you. Information report, item C, County Fair. No one from the county fairs. Rito.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioners, my name is Ronnie Reyna. I am the new chairman of the Pima County Horse Fair Racing Commission down there. And I will let you know, we started a new chapter when I took over. We're going to do some things that are going to be fair and equitable for everybody. Born and raised in Tucson, Arizona, I guarantee you that the county is going to continue to oppose Maricopa County, Jerry Sims, Turf Paradise, going down to Tucson and taking all the money and coming back with it. All I'm asking is that they be fair when we deal with them. I will get the same compliance and same word from the city council. I'm working with them now. I sit on a couple commissions with the city council. And we're going to work together. And if Turf Paradise is willing to work together, we'd be happy to. The same thing with Arizona Downs, Prescott. We'd like to make things a win-win situation so that it's good for everybody. It should not be a monopoly for anybody. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Zach Taylor, Assistant GM Retail Park.
We'll start with more of an update than a persuasive speech. Unfortunately, we've had to cut a couple stakes from our stake schedule due to financial hardships. And those were named after longtime horsemen of Arizona, which is pretty unfortunate. The good news is our meet's gathering momentum. The county's almost got our barns finished up, and soil applications are out now. I hope everybody had a chance to read the Blood Horse article that I distributed last time. That sheds pretty good light on our little track down there. Mike, the GM, wanted me to mention that he's had lots of industry leaders calling him to set up visits, including Mike Tanner, who's the president of the USTA. We've had some more student movement. One of our recent graduates, John Little, Scott's son, is now Paramax. And Kevin Schnur has moved to Naira with about 5 others. I think we've got 4 recent graduates in the racing office up there. We've got a great group of students this year. We've got some really fun marketing events in the works. And we've also got an equine wellness set up with students, equine wellness program set up that is going to be run by state vets and have some students from the CALS vet school working on making sure our horses are kept as safe as possible. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Zach.
I did have a question. I don't know if you have the answer or if I don't see Jay back there. But he would. The new barns that you put up there, what is the cost per each one of those barns?
There were 40 stalls assembled. They're finishing section right now, and the total cost was right under $140,000.
That was per each one, or for all of them?
For all of them, $140,000 for the 40 stalls.
Tucson Greyhound Park.
Hi there, Alicia Heiser for Tucson Greyhound Park. I'm the general manager. We got permission to open up a new OTB last month, and we were working on it this month. We were hoping to have it up already. It's all set. It looks beautiful, but we had some conductivity problems with the tote company. So we're waiting for a circuit to be sent down, and then we're going to have a grand opening. They're really excited. She was on the radio promoting it, so positive things for Tucson.
Great. Excellent. Turf Paradise.
Vincent Francia, General Manager of Turf Paradise, Chairman McClintock, Commissioners, Directors Ashman, and Directors Casillas. If it pleases the Commission, I would like to address the safety issues that were brought up earlier. To reassure Commissioner Borre of what we do and how we do it. I'd like to take them one at a time, as Mr. Stiles illustrated them. The mud, which has to do with the travel lanes between the barns. Currently, our sweeper, we do know of the sweeper. It's being repaired. It went on the blink. And so what we're doing now is renting a sweeper to keep everything clean back there. The second item was potholes. That is an ongoing issue. We work with Calvary Paving, who comes in as we call them in to keep them repaired, but that's an ongoing issue. The weeds. I spent a lot of time in the stable area, so I'm very familiar. Once the race meet starts, the condition of the barns, the outside of the barns, that's the responsibility of the trainers. However, what I have noticed, being back there the last couple of days, the weeds are growing into like a botanical garden. And although they may appear interesting at this point, they won't once the hot weather comes in, and that's where it's going to cause a problem. Years ago, Turf used to send its crews into the barn areas to do the weeding. That did not work with the horsemen. The weed whackers make a lot of noise that was disturbing the horses. Solution to the problem, because it is a problem right now, my suggestion is Turf joins with the HPPA, and we have a weed whacking spaghetti day, and we get the weeds cleared. So, and I don't say that to be flippant. I think it's a solution to the problem. The fourth item was the leak in barn 6. The trainer of the barn brought that to my attention. That barn's roof had been paved. Apparently a spot was missed, and we will seek to correct it. Lighting is an ongoing issue. Whenever there's something out, I'm advised of it and we get it replaced. The electrical outlets, there's boxes on each of the stables, And as my security staff is instructed, whenever they see them open, to close them. The horsemen get into them for some reason. They open, but they fail to close. But we keep them closed because we certainly don't want rain inside. The barn fire that happened at Turf Paradise, the rooms have been repaired, cleaned, or back in operational order for the trainers. The fire extinguishers. Turf Paradise has over 300 fire extinguishers on its property for the building and also for the stable area. Every September, before the horses get to the meet, Standard Fire comes in and certifies each of the fire extinguishers. The fire extinguisher in question, the Commissioner Gorey might have seen, actually had been replaced. It was there, and then it was not there, and we've replaced it again. And that had to do with the barn that it caught on fire. This Saturday, the track is going to celebrate its 63rd birthday, and with that comes the Cotton Fitzsimmons Mile. Joanne Fitzsimmons, Cotton's widow, will be on hand again for the 15th time to present the trophy. A couple months ago, Turf initiated Thoroughbred for Ed, which is Turf's involvement in the local school district in our area, which happens to be Glendale. So on Saturday, a $10,000 check is going to be presented to the Glendale Union High School for their educational needs. Also, Ray Odom, who's been with the track since it opened in 1956, is going to be honored in the third race. A quick look at the business. After 54 days of the race meet, or the live race meet, 131 days after 54 days, our on-track handle is up 7%, the OTB handle is up 4%, and the out-of-state handle is up 3%. So they're all good signs. If there are questions, I'd be happy to answer. If not,
well, the questions I do have, and again, when I talk about safety, I'm not blaming any one particular person. I take blame just as much as anyone. I think safety is all of us, and there's an old rule that if you can't do the small things, how do we know you're doing the big things right? Sure. And it wasn't just the fire extinguishers. I saw smoke detectors. The batteries were not in there. I saw another one, the smoke detectors covered with a plastic bag. I saw items in that aren't supposed to be there. Apparently there's a rule that you're not supposed to have the cooking utensils back there. It's an issue it's everyone. And if we're not, as a collective group, giving a shit about security, how are we giving a shit about racing? If we can't do the small things right, how the hell are we doing the big things right? And if we don't have the money to be properly inspecting and looking at things, maybe we ought to just shut down. We as a collective group, we need to, we can't prevent everything, but security and safety needs to be a priority of everyone responsible and participating. I come from my Navy background, and I want to start seeing things like if there's a circuit, somebody's getting shocked, how is it tagged out and so that it doesn't get used again until it's fixed. There's fire extinguishers missing for who knows how long. There's smoke detectors with no batteries in them. What the hell? I'm just sorry. I mean, I take safety seriously. We have people's lives, horses' lives at risk, and if we're not taking safety seriously, we might as well just shut down. And that's not directed at you or anything. It's us as collective. If this was the military, we'd be shutting down right now and having a safety stand down and trying to figure out what the hell we're doing and get these things corrected before moving forward.
it may not be directed at me personally, but I take it personally, Commissioner. Yeah. Safety is, there is no item above safety. Yeah. It's important. What I would suggest, I mean, we are always on it. I don't always see everything. When it's brought to my attention, I move on quickly. When you come out to turf again, take me and show me these, or just let me know where they are, and I will take care of them. As I mentioned at the last commission meeting, when I worked at another racetrack, we went through a barn fire and lost 48 horses. That was in 1980. And that experience still haunts me, so I'm very, there is nothing more important to me than the safety of those animals and the people in the state. If there are any other questions, I'd be happy. Okay, thank you, Commissioner.
Agenda item D4, optional industry stakeholder association updates. Not to exceed 3 minutes. Arizona Counties Racing Association. Arizona Greyhound Association.
Might as well cross them off the list.
Okay.
I don't think they're
Arizona-
in business anymore.
They're off the list. Take them off the list. Arizona Quarter Horse Racing Association.
I'm here, but I have nothing to report today. Thank you.
We'll keep you on the list.
Thank you.
Arizona Thoroughbred Breeders Association.
Nothing to report today. Thank you.
HBPA.
Commissioners, Leroy Gussman, HBTA. I don't know how to follow up this last episode, but anyway, some positive things we're going to talk about. We did get a contract since our last meeting. The Horseman and Rito have renewed their contract, and it's been executed. We renewed our contract with Arizona Downs till May 1st. And that has been executed, and we are in the process of proposing a renewal to Turf Paradise. Hopefully in the next 2 or 3 weeks we will have something put together to propose to Turf Paradise. Racing is going on. It's the big weekend this weekend, the birthday weekend, as Vince mentioned. We're all looking forward to that. I guess that's pretty much everything I better talk about. So, any questions?
Not from me.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Leroy. We're all going to hold hands and sing Kumbaya. No, 666. I saw that too. All right. Do you want to do the
Jockeys Guild?
Yeah. Okay. Anybody from the Jockeys Guild? Thanks.
I'd like to move to take a quick break.
Okay.
5-minute break.
Do we need a motion to do that?
I move we take a 5-minute break.
Commissioner Garay?
Yes.
Commissioner Lawless?
Yes.
Commissioner Commissioner McClintock?
Yes.
Okay, we are recessed at 11:07. It is 11:13 and we are reconvening the Arizona Racing Commission meeting. I will take roll call. Commissioner Lawless?
Here.
Commissioner McClintock?
Here.
Commissioner Garay?
Here.
Thank you. We have our quorum back.
Yeah, at this time, I'd like to move that we go into executive session for item 1, or B1, Sims versus Sims.
Second.
Thank you. Commissioner Garay?
Yes.
Commissioner Lawless?
Yes.
Commissioner McClintock?
Yes.
Okay, it is 11:14 and we are going into executive session. Please clear the room.
The following is the second open session of the 666th Arizona Racing Commission meeting taking place at 1110 West Washington, Suite 250, Phoenix, Arizona 85007 on Thursday, January 10th, 2019.
Thank you. It is 11:28 and the second open session of the Arizona Racing Commission meeting is starting. This is Cassie Goodwin. I'll do roll call. Commissioner Garay?
Here.
Commissioner Lawless?
Here.
Commissioner McClintock?
Here.
Thank you. We have a quorum.
With regards to item B1, I'd like to go ahead and make a motion on the B1, Sims versus Sims, instructing our council to do it as instructed during executive session.
Second.
Thank you. Commissioner Garay?
Yes.
Commissioner Lawless?
Yes.
Commissioner McClintock?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Camille. That brings us back around to action item Number 1, Turf Paradise Racing LLLP, consideration of final 3-year commercial permit renewal. Fiscal year 2019, 20, and 21. Greg?
Yes, Turf Paradise in May of this year had submitted their renewal for the permit application. Under state law, as long as they submit their renewal within the time frame of their current permit, they're able to run on their existing permit until the commission makes a decision. Carrie Alvarado, our financial investigator, has done a substantive review in the financial aspect. She is here today to answer any questions that you may have. Turf Paradise staff is here as well if you have any questions to ask of them. We have completed the substantive review portion of the permit renewal. You have the report. The commission recommends approval for the 2021 season.
So moved.
So moved what?
What's the motion? I'm sorry.
Oh, he recommended approval of the 3-year permit for Turf Paradise.
At this time, I am leaving the meeting. There will no longer be a quorum.
I have no idea. You didn't tell me. Okay, all right, I guess the meeting's adjourned, eh?
I have no idea.
I guess it's just a recess. I don't know until later.
How much later?
How do you turn the meeting
Yeah.
on for?
I mean, we don't have a quorum. We don't have a meeting. I have no idea.
His jacket, so I hope so. I have no idea.
He didn't say anything to me about anything to do with this. Yeah. Motion, the action.
I'll withdraw my motion if he wants to do something.
No, it didn't have a second.
It did not have a second.
Yeah, okay.
Great.
Yeah, I think we're stopped. Dead in the water.
So I guess nobody's had any inclination to be.
I think they can vote to adjourn.
Okay.
For lack of a quorum?
Yes, for lack of a second, that motion is dead. And since we no longer have a quorum, would either of you like to adjourn the meeting or make a motion to adjourn?
I wonder if he's gone for good.
I don't know. If you'd like, I can step out in the hallway and see if he's out there.
Yeah, tell him the motion didn't go through. If he wants to do something different, come back.
Okay.
For lack of a quorum. Yeah? So around?
He's not here, correct.
No
He is
longer
gone.
transact business without a quorum, so.
All right, so I guess that answers that. For lack of a quorum, the meeting is adjourned.
Time is 11:32.